As far as the drying time is concerned, what I generally do is I'll place everything in my dehydrator before I go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning, everything is pretty much dehydrated at that time. Things that take a little bit longer are the lemons and the oranges sometimes. I'll be doing other videos on fruit because over the years I've learned a few tricks on dehydrating fruit because there's a lot of it that's kind of tricky, and cooking with dehydrated foods, and that's really important because these dehydrated foods are something that you're going to be using all the time. It's not something you're just going to store away in case there's an emergency, but it's something that's going to make your life a lot easier, and it's actually healthier, and it doesn't take a lot of energy to store this. You don't have to refrigerate it, and you don't have to worry about canning it, and taking your shelf life of a canned good isn't as long as your shelf life of dehydrated foods. So I'll be doing other videos on cooking with dehydrated foods and how to properly store it too, because there's different ways you can store it. These are some of my dehydrated foods, and the reason I'm wearing vinyl gloves is because I don't want to get my oil from my skin onto my dehydrated food and put moisture into it. So while I'm cooking and removing it from the jars, I always try to put on a pair of vinyl gloves just to protect the quality of the food. Right here we have, and if you can listen real close, these are peppers. So these are the peppers that I did and I put in there. They're very hot, and what I'll do when I'm cooking is just use a little tiny bit of it because it's dehydrated, so it's concentrated. These are my cucumbers here, and you can also hear them. They're very hollow sounding, and like I said, you want to stay 95 and above dehydrated. Here we have, this is orange, and you can see the color is perfect. And this is great, like if you have guests over and you want to just put and slice the orange in a glass of ice water. It's really nice. Making tea, you can put it in your tea and so on. Corn. Now I didn't open this because I wanted you to hear. When I store the corn in these jars, you're going to hear a pop. Do you hear that? And what that is that, here's the corn. Inside each jar, I put a oxygen pack, and that absorbs all the excess oxygen to help keep my food fresh. These are what the oxygen packs look like, okay? And you can get these online, and you just put them in there, and when you seal your dehydrated food with an oxygen pack, about 4 to 6 hours later you'll hear a pop, and this little thing will go down. And that's because the oxygen pack just sucked all the oxygen out, and it actually hermetically seals it, almost like canning. Like when you can food and you'll hear the pop after you're done canning and when it's sealed. This will do the same thing. My husband and I built this cabinet over here for me to store all my dehydrated foods, and this is what I use all the time while I'm cooking. And over here you'll see that I have potatoes, apples, more potatoes, dried onions, tomatoes, prunes, broccoli, and down below you'll see I have peas and carrots and mixed peas and carrots. My reason for doing these videos is to bring awareness to the downfall of the economy and how to prepare our family and friends. I've been trading stock on Wall Street for nearly 11 years, and for the past 2 years I've been trying to alert people. I believe that hyperinflation is just around the corner due to the liquidity that Hank Paulson and Ben Bernanke has pumped into our system. I think that it's critical that we learn how to dehydrate and store food for hyperinflation, because the prices of food, I think, are going to go right through the roof, along with other commodities. I think it's important that you listen to Peter Schiff, Lyndon LaRouche, Jim Rogers, Gerald Salente, Matt Kaiser, and there's a few other people out there that are making videos at their own time, and just to alert people and to let them know what's going on. And I really like Vision Victory. He's very market savvy. I like Super Faith. I think he has layman terms of putting it into layman terms, so it's easy to understand what's going on. I like George for Title. He's also very good at that. And right now, I really like 2012 Reality Guide, Day-to-Day, number 22. I think that was excellent. He said it right from my heart, what I believe is going on. And so this is the reason I'm doing these videos. Now I'd like to show you how to package your dehydrated food. In addition to storing your dehydrated food into jars with your oxygen packs, there's another way that I do it, and that I use vacuum packing with an oxygen pack, and then I place it inside for long-term storage inside a Mylar bag. Okay, and that's M-Y-L-A-R. These are the Mylar bags, and what I do is I label them. So on here, you can see that I have tomatoes and summer squash in this bag here. Putting them in the Mylar bags, I put them in the vacuum pack bags. These are my chopped apples, and you can see they're in there with an oxygen pack. Here are my cut apples, and there again, you'll see an oxygen pack there. Okay, and then here we have some oranges. Okay, and there's the oxygen pack there. Now, after I put them in a vacuum bag like this, then I put saran wrap around them like this prior to putting them into the Mylar bag. The reason I do this is because sometimes I put more than one item in there, as you can see over here. I'll put these are mixed veggies, okay? Sometimes I'll put those in a bag. And then I'll have some plain carrots here, and I'll put those in a bag like this. And then that way, with the saran wrap around the outside of them, they're not rubbing up against each other like this and getting a hole inside here. So because I'm doing long-term storage, I don't want to puncture the bag. So just for added protector, I put saran wrap, or if you have extra bags from the grocery store that you want to use instead, you could use those. And then I put them in here, and then I seal it with my a lot of the times, too, I'll just take an oxygen pack, and I'll also put an additional oxygen pack in here, just in case one of these were to get a hole in it. I have a backup oxygen pack in it. So, but right now I'm just going to seal this just to show you how I do it. And that's all you have to do to seal your Mylar bag. Another way you can seal them is you can just, if you don't have a vacuum pack, and what you should get, because it's really important that you have that, you can take an iron and just put on a flat surface like this and just iron it, and it'll stay sealed just like this. Okay? And then I would label it with a Sharpie and put them in a Tupperware tub. Now, the reason you want the Mylar bags is because, first of all, the bags are really hard to puncture, so you can really take a beating before you put a hole in them. And the second reason is because it keeps the light out. And you really need to, the things that degrade your dehydrated food obviously would be water, light, heat, and oxygen. So you need to keep all that stuff away from the foods, and they turn out they'll last a really long time. This is where they say you can store this stuff for 30 years and it will last. And there's videos out there where they'll show you where people actually take the food out 30 years later and show you it's perfectly fine to eat. So that's what I do there. Now, what I do when I first take the food out of the dehydrator is the first thing I do is I put them in Ziploc baggies like this. So here again, you'll see all my food in Ziploc baggies. And then I take the Ziploc baggies and I store them in a large bag, one that I'm reusing, like this, until I'm ready to vacuum pack them or put them in my jars. So if my jars need to be filled, I'll fill them up, but if not, I'll just go ahead and vacuum pack them.